Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome back. Let's do a flash recap. There are three forms of status, and that is Rafa, Nasab and Jar. Rafa is the doer of the fi'l, Jar is your mudaf ilay and the majroor, and Nasab is the ism of the huruf mushabbahatu bil fi'l and the detail about the fi'l, and another name for details is maf'ul. And the maf'ul can be of different types, and let's see this with an example. She bought hot chocolate and biscuits quickly in the morning at the cafeteria of her school because she was hungry. The fa'il is bought and the fa'il is she. And the rest of the sentence is made up by details, so they're all going to be in the state of nasab. Hot chocolate and biscuits tells us what she bought. Quickly tells us how she bought. In the morning tells us when she bought. At the cafeteria of her school tells us where she got the food from. And because she was hungry tells us why she bought. So all of these maf'ul, they answer a specific question. The maf'ul that answers the question what is called the maf'ul bihi. It can answer the question what, or it can answer the question who. So for example, the verb I employed, who did you employ? In that case, you would answer the question who. So it can be what or it can be who. The maf'ul that answers the question how is called the hal. The maf'ul that answers the question of when is called fihi, maf'ul fihi. And the same thing goes for where. When your maf'ul tells you where an action took place, it's called maf'ul fihi. And a way to remember that is that fihi means in. So in what time and in what place did the action take place? And when you answer the question why, it is called maf'ul lahu. The reason for why an action took place is your maf'ul lahu. This maf'ul can also be called li ajlihi. And one thing I want you to notice is that the maf'ul, they're not necessarily one word. They can be phrases and they can even be full sentences. Like she was hungry is actually a full sentence. In the morning is a phrase. Quickly is one word. And remember that they're always going to be in the state of nasab. And one last thing is that we have covered the jumla ismiya made by the mubtada and the khabar, and the fa'il, the fa'al, and the maf'ul together, they make a verbal sentence which we call jumla fi'liya. So we have managed to cover two types of full sentences. Now let's move on to doing some practice with these maf'ul. You just have to do the tarkeeb of this, and then specifically you need to identify what maf'ul we're talking about. Because we're doing the topic of maf'ul, of course, all of these are going to contain a maf'ul. You just have to identify which one it is. So I graded them from easy to hard. We have the number one is kharaqaha, means to tear. So kharaqa is your fa'il, and the fa'il is the hidden zamir huwa, and then ha is going to be your maf'ul bihi. Whenever you have a fa'il and you have a dhamir attached to it, that is always going to be maf'ul bihi. So you don't even have to think about that. It's always going to be maf'ul bihi. So you translate it as he tore it, because this is a madhi verb. Number two, we have balagha, which means to reach, and I forgot to write down its meaning. This is your fa'il madhi plus the fa'il inside. The fa'il is rafa, and here you don't have anything that's rafa, so the fa'il is going to be inside. That's your dhamir huwa. Matli'a is light with no alif lam, so this is 100% going to be your mudaf. Ash-shamsi is majroor, so this is your mudaf ilayhi. Now what is this going to be? Matli'a is mansub, so this is obviously going to be your maf'ul. But what kind of maf'ul? Is going to be your maf'ul bihi, because he answered the question of what did he reach. Yes, Matli'a Shams is a place, but he answered the question what did he reach. So it's going to be your maf'ul bihi, and majority of the time the maf'ul is maf'ul bihi. So the translation is he reached the place of rising of the sun. Next we have rafa'na fawqakum at-tura. Rafa'na is your fa'il madhi plus your fa'il which is inside it, and the fa'il is nahnu, we raised. فوقكم, fawqa is your special mudaf, and kum is going to be your mudaf ilayhi. And at-tura is mansub, so this is going to be a maf'ul, and fawqakum is also going to be a maf'ul because it's telling you where something was raised. And this is going to be your maf'ul fihi, because we are raising something above you, and that something is your tour, the mount tour. So that's going to be your maf'ul bihi, because it's the answer to the question what. So we raise Mount Tour where above you. خلقناكم, خلقناكم, خلقنا is a verb. So this is going to be your fa'al plus fa'il nahnu. And when you have a zamir attached to a verb, it's always going to be maf'ul bihi. So this translates to we created you. Next, we have the medium hard one. آتينا موسى 9 آيات بينات. We have آتينا, which is a فعل ماضي verb. And because it's the نحن scale, we don't even need to look for a file. The file is going to be inside. So this is فعل plus the فاعل نحن. We have Musa. Musa is not flexible, so it could be in halat al-nasab. And if it could be, we say that it is. Now, tis'a is light with no alif lam, so this is going to be your mudaf. Now, ayatin bayinatin, they have the same harkas, the same gender, all of the same properties, so this is going to be your mawsuf. And then you have your sifa, and these two become the mudaf ilayhi for tis'a. Now we have to figure out what Musa and tis'a is. So this sentence means to give someone something, because the word to give would have two maf'ul. So we are giving Musa, so this is going to be your maf'ul bihi, because to whom are we giving, and then what are we giving is 9 clear signs. So this is going to be your maf'ul bihi number 2. Okay, this sentence translates to we gave Musa 9 clear signs. Next we have أن الله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض قادر. We have a lot of words in this sentence, so let's dissect one by one. We have أن, which is حروف مشبهة بالفعل, and we need an ism of أن, and the word Allah is mansub, so we know that this is going to be its ism, but we have a whole entire phrase after that, so we need to take this one step at a time. We have الذي, which is your ism mawsul. Then we have خلق السماوات والأرض. We know that whatever mawsul refers to is going to be sila. So alladhi means the one who, okay, the one who what? He created the skies and the earth. Okay, so this is going to be your sila. Khalaqa is your fa'al plus fa'il, which is your dhamir huwa inside. As-samawati, this is the mansub version, so we know that this is going to be the maf'ul bihi. And we have wal arda, which is also maf'ul. And this wow is not wow huruf jar, this is the wow of atfun. And whatever comes before the atf is called ma'tuf alayhi. The two things that are connected by an atf, which is the particle of connection, is called ma'tuf alayhi. So this samawat is actually ma'tuf alayhi. And whatever thing is connected after the wow is called the ma'tuf. So then these together, they would form the maf'ul bihi. Because he created the sky, but he also created the earth, which is why this phrase is connected to each other. And then once we connect that, we can make it into the maf'ul bihi. So we have this sentence that then becomes the sila. Now we need to do something with the mawsul sila, because they become something. And we have this word qadirun. Qadirun is nakira. If we have a look at the 4 properties of the word Allah Azza wa Jal, we have it's masculine, it is singular, it is definite, and it is nasab. But the 4 property of qadirun is masculine, it's singular, it's indefinite, and it's rafa. So they don't match, so they can't be mawsuf sifa, they're definitely not an idafa, they have no link at all. So we can put a break in here. If we have a look at the 4 properties of the word alladhi, we have alladhi being a masculine singular word. It is definite because ism mawsul are always ma'rifa. And the last property will go by exclusion. So we've already established that there is going to be a link between the word Allah and alladhi, because if there wasn't any link, we would have put a break here, but we put the break here. So word Allah and alladhi are linked. The link is not going to be an idafa because ma'rifa words can never be mudaf. So this is not an idafa. It's not musharun ilay because there's no ismul ishara. is not going to be the ism of a huruf mushabbahatu bil fa'al, because the word Allah is the ism of the huruf mushabbahatu bil fa'al, and it can't be huruf jar majroor because there is no huruf jar majroor, which means that the last option that we have is mawsuf sifa. So if we make the word Allah mawsuf, that means that they have the word alladhi must match in the 4 properties, and it does, because alladhi is mabni, so it could be nasab, and if it could be, it is. So we're going to take the word alladhi as being nasab, and because the 4 properties are the same, mawsuf sila is going to create the sifa together, and then the mawsuf sifa together, they'll become the ism of anna. And then we have qadirun, which is where the chain breaks, and this is going to be your khabar of anna, because the word after is going to be the khabar. Everything that's after is going to be khabar. So ism of inna plus your khabar of inna would make your jumla ismiya sentence. So when we translate this, we would say that Allah, the one who created the skies, because this is samawat is the plural for sky, and the earth, is all able. Next, we have inna ja'alna ma 'ala al-ardi zinatan laha. Have inna is your hufu mushabbahatu bil fa'al, by has an extra alif in there, which means that the ism of inna is going to be inside as well. So we have ism of inna, huruf. You have your huruf first, and then you have the ism, which is nahnu. Ja'alna is your fa'al plus your fa'il nahnu. Then ma is your ism mawsul again. Ala is your jar, and ardi is your majroor. Then you have zinatan, which is going to be your maf'ul. Now, which type of maf'ul it is? For now, we'll just say maf'ul bihi, because the word ja'alna is to make. So we made the earth, we made whatever, because ma gives me whatever, is on earth, an adornment. Laha is your jar, and ha is your majroor. Now, what is on earth is actually another maf'ul, because we made what? We made something an adornment, and that something is going to be another maf'ul. However, jar and majroor, they can't be the sila, because the sila is whatever that mawsul refers to, and it doesn't refer to the earth. It refers to whatever things are present on the earth, and the word things or creation is actually absent in the sentence, which means that the sila is hidden. That the sila is not present there, is actually hidden. So you have the jar majroor and the hidden sila, they together, and with the mawsul, they would make the maf'ul bihi, which is going to be your first maf'ul, and then this maf'ul bihi is going to be your second maf'ul. And then all of this together would be your khabar of inna. One thing to note is that zinatan could also be a hal. Instead of a maf'ul bihi, we can make it into hal, depending on what we take the word ja'alna to be. So ja'alna can have 2 ways of understanding it. So the first way of understanding ja'alna is in the sense of turning things, because when you make something, you can give the meal of turning something into something else. So I made the dough into bread, and in that case, you would need 2 maf'ul, because you're explaining what thing you're turning and what you're turning it into. So in that case, you would have 2 maf'ul. And the other way of taking ja'alna is in the meaning of create, because if you say to create, then you create something, and you're going to say, what are you creating? So that's going to be whatever is on earth. That's going to be first maf'ul. And then how you're creating it. You're creating it as an adornment. You're creating it as an embellishment. In what condition you're creating it, that's going to be your hal. And then your ism of inna and your khabar of inna would make your jumla ismiya khabariya. And the sentence translates to, we made whatever is on earth an adornment for it meaning the earth. So whatever things are created on earth, they're made to embellish the earth. And that is it for today.
My time has come. You must continue your journey without me. What are you? What?